WWE concluded its top 25 countdown of the greatest SummerSlam matches of all time, which has been playing out on its YouTube channel for the last few weeks, leading into SummerSlam this weekend. In the end, Bret the Hitman Hart was featured in 3 of the top 5 matches in their countdown. And when I did my own countdown of the top 10 greatest matches in SummerSlam history 6 years ago, Bret was also in 3 of the top 5 matches. So how do you like that? This is why he's Mr. the SummerSlam. I actually think they did a pretty good job with their list overall. I don't have a lot to nitpick about. This may be the best WWE composed list that I've ever seen. Let me run through it. We'll start from the back end here, number 25, and we'll work our way up. At number 25, they had Cody Rhodes against Brock Lesnar in 2023, which I remember being a pretty good match, and it was a very big endorsement at the end from Brock to Cody. And that was the last we ever saw of Brock. And if that is the last we ever see of Brock Lesnar, you know what? At least he put over the new guy on his way out. Number 24, Seth Rollins against John Cena. This was title for title in 2015. I had this as one of my honorable mentions when I did my countdown back in 2019. This was winner take all for the WWE Championship and the United States Championship. And as great as this match was, it had that awful finish with Jon Stewart hitting Cena with a chair, which led to Rollins hitting a pedigree onto the chair and then ending up with both belts. So it was a great match until Jon Stewart got involved. And then it was like, Number 23, The Undertaker against Bret Hart for the WWE Championship in 1997. Great match. And one of the greatest finishes that they have ever done, with Shawn Michaels as the guest referee. As I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, today is 28 years to the day of that match, and it is still one of the greatest all-time finishes, not just at SummerSlam, but really in WWE history. Number 22, Brock Lesnar against Seth Rollins for the Universal Championship in 2019. Number 21, Bianca Belair against Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's Championship in 2022. I believe they opened the show with that match. That was a very good match. Number 20, Randy Orton against Christian. No holds barred for the World Heavyweight Championship in 2011. That was part of their excellent series of matches that year. Number 19, Brock Lesnar against The Undertaker in 2015. That was a much better match than the match they had at WrestleMania 30. This was a nice kind of comeback for the two of them. That was the match where at one point they both sat up and Brock started laughing at him and Undertaker started laughing, which is still a meme to this day. Number 18, Jeff Hardy against CM Punk, TLC match for the World Heavyweight Championship in 2009. Number 17, Stone Cold Steve Austin against Kurt Angle for the WWE title in 2001. That was a tremendous match, just a shit finish. I mean, that was the story they were going for. Austin was desperate, didn't want to lose his belt. I get it, but what a shit finish to a great match. Number 16, Rey Mysterio against Eddie Guerrero in a ladder match. This was the Custody of Dominic ladder match in 2005. It's such a shame that on the replay on Peacock, they have edited out the part where Eddie is screaming, "Where the fuck is Vicky?" Vicky Guerrero was late getting into the ring, or at least being sent down to the ring. I don't know whose fault it was. Number 15, Brock Lesnar against Roman Reigns, against Samoa Joe, against Braun Strowman. Fatal 4-way for the Universal title in 2017. That was excellent. Number 14, The Rock against Triple H in a ladder match for the Intercontinental title 1998. That was at Madison Square Garden. This was another one of my honorable mentions. I remember reading, I don't know where, that they ignored their cues to go home earlier in the match, which ended up shaving a few minutes off the main event between Stone Cold and The Undertaker. But I think this match went like 25 minutes, and maybe it was only supposed to go 15, and they were like, fuck it, we're just going to keep going here. And it was a great match. Number 13, John Cena against CM Punk for the undisputed WWE Championship in 2011. Not quite their Money in the Bank match from the month before, but it was still a very good match. That was with Triple H as the special referee when Kevin Nash came out. And he stuck him. Remember, he stuck Punk with a powerbomb. Number 12, Roman Reigns against Brock Lesnar, last man standing for the WWE title in 2023. Honestly, it's kind of weird. They've had so many matches together. I can't even tell you how many matches Roman and Brock have had going back 10 years, really, when they had their first one. And the best match they ever had, it was either their first or their last. Take your pick. It was either WrestleMania 31 or SummerSlam 2 years ago, because this match here, if it wasn't the best match they ever had, it was the second best match they ever had. That was with the tractor spot when he lifted up the ring. Number 11, John Cena against Daniel Bryan for the WWE title in 2013. You know, you won't find too many SummerSlams where you have two legit 5-star matches on the same show. And that was the case that year. You had not only Cena and Bryan and that great finish at the very end where Bryan got screwed, but that was the show that had CM Punk against Brock Lesnar. That was in 2013. Number 10, Undertaker against Edge. Hell in a Cell match, 2008. Number 9, Shawn Michaels against Razor Ramon ladder rematch for the Intercontinental title. That was in 1995. I don't know if this might be controversial, but I think that was the better ladder match that those two had. Not the more iconic one, but I think it was the better one. The Rock against Brock Lesnar for the undisputed title is number 8. This was in 2002. Number 7, Shawn Michaels against Triple H, unsanctioned street fight. Also on that 2002 show. That was Shawn's comeback to the ring for the first time in 4.5 years, at least in WWE. Number 6, the Hardys, the Dudleys, and Edge and Christian, the first ever official TLC match for the tag team titles at SummerSlam 2000. It is 25 years since that match. It's kind of funny, we think of TLC 1, right? But really, I mean, you want to be technical about it. The real first TLC match was WrestleMania that year. I mean, I'm just saying. They didn't call it TLC, but that's what it was. Number 5, Bret Hart against Owen Hart. Steel cage match for the WWF title, 1994. It's a little low. Number 4, CM Punk against Brock Lesnar. No disqualification in 2013. Number 3, Bret Hart against Mr. Perfect for the Intercontinental title in 1991. Number 2, John Cena against AJ Styles in 2016. And on the WWE official countdown, the number 1 greatest match in SummerSlam history is from 1992 for the Intercontinental Championship at Wembley Stadium, Bret Hart against the British Bulldog. And you had to know, if that wasn't going to be number 1, it was going to be obviously top 3. So no real surprise there. This is my top 10 list of the best SummerSlam matches. And it really hasn't changed since the first time that I put this list out. Number 10, I have the first ever TLC match in 2000. Number 9, I have Brock Lesnar destroying John Cena in 2014. This was the greatest squash match in WWE history. It was a very ballsy move on their part to book this match the way they did. And it was, I say it was decisive and it was divisive. But it was a decisive win for Brock. There was no 50-50 even Steven bullshit here. Oh, hey, it's anyone's ball game. No, this was decisive. And it would not have been as impactful if they had done the match that originally they were planning to do, which was Brock Lesnar against Daniel Bryan. Had Daniel Bryan not had the neck injury, he would have been the champion going into SummerSlam that year. He had won the title in the WrestleMania main event that year. But he had to give it up because of the neck issues. So the plan was to have Brock go in there and just destroy Daniel Bryan. And then John Cena got slotted in there. And if it was almost any other main event star from any era, can you imagine Hulk Hogan or Randy Savage or Bret Hart or Steve Austin going in there and saying, oh, yeah, sure, okay. Yeah, sure. I'll let Brock destroy me like a job guy in the main event of SummerSlam. The only one I could think of that might have had, no ego over it and been willing to do business if he felt like it was, going to be the best thing for the show. I could see The Rock being okay with that. I could see Chris Jericho being okay with that. But like most top stars would have had enough of an ego and would have been probably paranoid enough over their own character and their own spot that they would not have allowed themselves to be booked in that fashion. And John Cena had no ego about it. He's like, okay, this is what we're doing. But this was like Doomsday beating Superman to death. And also what they did here was they made the most out of Brock ending the Undertaker streak at WrestleMania that year, which is a move that I still disagree with. But if you were going to have Brock Lesnar end the streak, you've got to keep this guy strong. And there's no better way to keep him strong than what they did here. Number 8, Shawn Michaels returned to the ring against Triple H in 2002. I've got Daniel Bryan winning and losing the WWE title in 2013. That's my number 7. Number 6, I have HBK and Razor in the ladder match from 95. Number 5, I have John Cena against AJ Styles in 2016. Number 4, I have Bret Hart against Mr. Perfect for the Intercontinental title in 1991. And we get into my top 3. Number 3, I have Brock Lesnar against CM Punk from 2013. Number 2, I have Bret Hart and the British Bulldog at Wembley Stadium in 1992. And the number 1 greatest match in SummerSlam history, and still the greatest steel cage match in WWE history, is Bret Hart against Owen Hart in 1994. And I believe that was the United Center show. I think the first ever show they did it might have been the first ever show of any kind at the United Center. United Center was brand new that year. But that match and the aftermath too, all the chaos with the family members being, attacked and involved, and Bulldog and his wife getting knocked over the barricade outside by Jim Neidhart. Like, I love everything about that entire thing. Now, I had a list of honorable mentions as well when I did that countdown. So I'll just, rattle these off to you here because these matches also deserve to be mentioned. Hart Foundation against the Brainbusters. This opened SummerSlam back in 1989, and oddly enough, this was a non-title match. The Brainbusters were the champions. The titles were not on the line, and the Hart Foundation still lost, which in his book, Bret Hart says that he and the Anvil were not very happy about. And they talked to Vince before the show, and they had a very heated conversation about this match. Obviously, they were not able to change his mind. But it was a great match. Ultimate Warrior against Ravishing Rick Rude on that same show for the Intercontinental title. This was their best match together, and they had several pretty good matches, but this was the best of the bunch. I always felt Rude and Savage. Savage first and then Rick Rude. Always gave Warrior the best matches of his career. This is where Warrior won the belt back. Hart Foundation against Demolition. 2 out of 3 falls, SummerSlam 1990. Got back-to-back SummerSlams with 2 great Hart Foundation matches. And this was also the best Demolition match that I ever saw. This was smash and crush, since Axe had a heart issue stemming from an allergic reaction he had to shellfish, and Vince did not want him wrestling. So that's why they brought in Crush, and Demolition became a trio. Undertaker against Mankind. Boiler Room Brawl. SummerSlam 1996. They taped the first half of this match the day before. Because if you remember, the match starts in the Boiler Room. And the rules were you have to actually fight to the ring, where Paul Bearer was with the urn. And the first person to take possession of the urn from Paul Bearer would win the match. So everything you saw backstage and in the Boiler Room, that was taped. If this was on a Sunday, it would have been taped on Saturday. When they came out into the arena, that was the only live portion of the entire thing. And this is where Paul Bearer turns on the Undertaker. Undertaker's like, all right, he's kneeling down on one knee, give me the urn. And Paul Bearer turns his back on him and goes with Mankind. And that was the end of a 6-year partnership between Paul Bearer and the Undertaker. Rock and Triple H, their ladder match at SummerSlam 98. I did not have in my top 10, but I had it as an honorable mention, as well as Test against Shane McMahon. Love Her or Leave Her match from SummerSlam 1999. I enjoyed this match a hell of a lot more than I thought I would. And Shane back then was always very entertaining, especially in the ring and the bumps he would take. But just the story they told here, with Test and Stephanie, and Shane, of course, being the very protective older brother, and the posse was out there with him, and I enjoyed the hell out of this. And what might have been with Test. Test was very over in 1999. And we never did get that big pay-per-view match with him and Triple H after what Triple H did to him at the wedding altar in Vegas. So those are my honorable mentions. I'm going to tack on 2 more, though. Since I did that list, I'll add Edge and Seth Rollins in 2021. They had an excellent match at SummerSlam, and the Brock Lesnar-Roman Reigns Last Man Standing match from 2022. So a lot of good stuff there if you're looking for some old SummerSlam matches to go back and check out either on Peacock or in the vault on YouTube. That's the best of the best when it comes to SummerSlam. Go check them out.